we cannot continue down this path that the left has been pushing, that words are violence.
Really right now, what I've seen over the last 10 days is a clear presentation of light versus darkness.
Democrat senator that got assassinated.
Yeah. Everyone.
No half flag, no memorial funeral.
What's the senator's name that you're talking
Oh,
about?
I forget. I think it's like Michelle.
You don't know? So are you just using her body as an argument instead of something you actually care about? Did you come out and mourn her death?
No.
No, you didn't.
No.
What is going on, everyone? James Klug here. Today we're in Glendale, Arizona, where tens of thousands of Americans have shown up to honor and remember Charlie Kirk. This video is dedicated to Charlie, his family, and the entire team over at Turning Point USA. Let's go talk to some people. Apparently 100,000 people expected. You guys, this is just a never-ending. There's 2 lines right here. One right here, and then Eric at this side. Yeah, 100,000 people expected. I think that seems like a pretty fair estimate. It could be something like that. It's a big crowd for sure.
Yeah, sure.
Where are you from and what brought you out here?
I'm from Gilbert, Arizona, and I'm out here in solidarity for freedom of speech and the shock of his loss.
We just wanted to come out, our family wanted to come out, and we knew, hey, there might be a chance that we're not going to get in.
Yeah.
But we wanted to witness firsthand people coming together to support what we believe in as a country.
I'm here because Charlie Kirk was brutally assassinated for just having a microphone and a speaker and just speaking out his opinion.
Right.
Doing what the First Amendment permits, and sadly, assassinating in front of his own kids and his wife. So that's saddening, burning times just to see across America, and that's the reason why we're out here, to show support, love, and what our Constitution, our country was built on.
Why do you think Charlie impacted so many people's lives? I know you guys have seen the vigils all over the country by the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. Why do you think he made such an impact on people?
I think a lot of it was that he embodied free speech. That's a lot of what America was founded on. I think today we see a lot in the news channels where people twist things right and it's on both sides, but Charlie Kirk was someone who said, we're not going to mince words, we're going to be open and honest and respectful, and I think a lot of people resonated with that.
For sure. In your view, why is that controversial for folks on the other side of the aisle nowadays?
I think that, in the media, they control a lot of narratives, and I think that a lot of times we see that they don't want to have open conversations. They want to tailor it right to what they want to produce and what they want to say.
For sure.
I think a lot of it, too, was he stood for Christianity, and he was big in his faith. It's what he said, that his biggest thing is he wanted to be remembered for his faith, and so that's not popular opinion today, unfortunately.
I have 3 young adult children, and they were all inspired by Charlie Kirk. And they're devastated by his loss. So in honor of his message and to show my kids by example, we support freedom of speech and his message and his cause.
Maybe now more people will be bold to speak up because that's what he gave to everybody on every side. Boldness to speak up. He didn't condone any violence. All the lies about him, there's many, so don't believe that in that America. Look at this crowd. We are good Americans who love people of all kinds, of all colors. That's what it's about, just to be peaceful and share your point of view and hear it and respectfully disagree. And that's what Charlie was for. And most important, he was for the Lord Jesus Christ.
Why do you think he made such an impact on the movement? Or just the country, spiritually or politically?
Sure. I personally believe that he demonstrated and modeled the love of Christ. And even though he was passionate and some people could criticize him for that, he was able to respect other people and show love and patience that so many of us can't, just don't have as good of a control on. So
sure.
I feel like he modeled that one.
Are you from same area?
From Tucson. I literally just ran into this guy.
Okay.
So,
all right. So we're already making friends. We're making connections here.
Well, I think that's a lot of what Charlie was so special for. Was I think at their core, everyone wants to believe in something good. I think that the ultimate good comes from God. Like nothing is good without him. And I think Charlie was so instrumental and still will be forever, just because if you don't have a grounding in faith, whatever you believe is meaningless.
Right.
If you're not grounded in God, then you might as well not believe in anything at all, because there's no good and evil. There's no objectivity without there being God and Jesus Christ.
There's also no basis for the rights that we have as Americans.
100%.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. And I know that the popular argument is a separation of church and state. And I do agree that that is important to a degree, but I think we have to remember we are still one nation under God. Our founding fathers were predominantly Christian.
Religion is not irrelevant for our political structure.
It is a fundamental foundation of this country, and it always has been. It's why this country was founded, was religious freedom.
Why do you think he made such a difference when it came to, him telling people about God?
I can answer that easily, man. It's because he was a loving person. He was a smart and loving man, and people try to say that he's hateful, which is bizarre to me, because if you watched his rallies, watched him speak to people, even people that he was on completely opposite sides of the spectrum with in terms of his beliefs, he always showed respect to them. He always put the mic down. He would yell at people in his crowd that support him that were yelling and over what they're trying to say, and he would tell them to quiet down. He wants to hear them. He would let them say their whole point. He would always give a loving argument back, show that he cares about them. He's not just wanting to be right. He cares about them coming to Jesus. He cares about them coming to the same realization that he has and learning all the knowledge that he has. So I think he's a caring.
You're bringing up something that I think a lot of people that are willing to be reasonable and fair are witness, right? Is there are not just 10x, but 1,000 times as many examples of that than anything that would be remotely controversial, that people are using. Why do you think there's such a push, specifically from, the left wing, to grab onto clips, maybe they're out of context or whatever it may be, to make him look bad after he was murdered? Why do you think there's such a push, and why do you think people are okay with that?
I think it stems at our education, man. I think it starts at the family, which is something that Charlie Kirk talks about all the time.
For sure.
The family is being torn apart in America right now, and the education doesn't get much better at all. It's actually horrible. And between that and people with their education not being the way it was, not being able to think for themselves the way people used to.
Lack of critical thinking, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's more of just go with the mob on that.
Yep. Between that and the media and how the media controls people today and manipulates even the smallest situations and makes people believe things that aren't true. Yeah. And the people who control the media, I think that's really the main thing for it all. The reason why some people who don't even know Charlie Kirk think he's racist, a fascist. They don't even know what the word fascist means. I could go on and on, but he was none of that, man.
Well, I go to Trinity Church, which is in Arizona, and Charlie Kirk came to Trinity, which was really cool. I remember seeing him and just being astonished. I feel like you don't even realize how big of a person he was. But if you knew he was coming to where you were going to be, it was like everybody knew about it.
Could you talk about that a little bit? Him showing up to was he speaking at your church?
Yes, he was speaking at my church. It's
How
crazy. So it's funny because he was calling out how CCV is not talking at all on abortion. Yeah. And my pastor, he's pretty, he doesn't stop, you know what I mean? He's not scared of controversy, but he was kind of telling Charlie to calm down. That's how crazy he was. He was willing to stand up for whatever he believed in. He stood on business, which was the Bible. It's the most important thing. He did that, but I think it's also important. There's a lot of Christians who are I'm going to be a Christian, and then kind of give up on the rest of everything else. But he was no, I'm a Christian, and I'm going to build on top of that foundation.
All right, so at least on this side, looks like everyone is, what time is it? It's 10, a little bit after 10 o'clock. We have the last of the group going into the stadium. Eric, let's go put our stuff away and let's get in there. All right, we are inside the memorial. Really quick though, I wanted to point this out. Eric, can you show this? The stand right here? Even at Charlie Kirk's memorial, Turning Point is still here grinding, telling people to get involved. Here's their booth. Unbelievable. Cool. Patriots. You guys, an amazing memorial in there. That was an experience. If you didn't watch the live stream, I definitely recommend checking it out. I seriously recommend checking it out. Full stadium. It was a beautiful thing. Amazing thing. Eric, we should probably go talk to these protesters, see what they have to say. Come on. So what's going on here? Epstein, Trump, Israel.
Yeah.
Tell us about your message. I'll let you take it away.
Well, we have Epstein, who was killed in a federal incarceration facility where there's no way he could have killed himself.
Okay, so that drove you to come out here and do this? Is that
Well,
it?
I mean, there's lots of things that drive me to come out.
Anything specific about Charlie or no?
No.
No. Okay, so you just felt like, hey, this is a good opportunity to talk about how Epstein didn't kill himself in 2019?
There's lots of things. I mean, he didn't kill himself. There's a lot. Trump is all in the Epstein files. They're not releasing the Epstein files. They need to release the Epstein files. Why are they holding it back? They're slow walking.
Everyone knows Trump's in the Epstein files, but that's.
Well, I don't know.
You talk about the client?
That, but
yeah,
we've
flight
heard
logs.
it.
It's
I don't
all
know.
obvious
Yeah.
stuff,
I mean,
isn't
it
it?
seems to be pretty obvious from what I see. I mean,
you
I'm
gone
not.
through what they've
I'm
released
not.
so far?
I'm not in the DOJ or anything, but just what I see on the news.
Have you gone through everything that they've released so far? No, you haven't.
No, I don't have time.
Yeah,
I gotta work.
So you think Charlie Kirk's life was worth more than George
No,
Floyd's?
but Charlie Kirk is literally one of the most prominent conservative figures, if not the most prominent conservative figure, demonized all the way to the point. No, not just
He
podcaster.
wasn't a political figure.
He was a consultant. He was all sorts of things. What I'm trying to say is you don't see a difference between that assassination, the most prominent political assassination in 50 years, and the situation with George Floyd. In fact, the response following that was an entire summer of left-wing riots, dozens of murders because of that, billions of dollars of damage, all this stuff. What have you noticed after the Charlie Kirk assassination?
Did you see all the garbage that was out here? They had to bring out dump trucks, multiple dump trucks to clean it up.
Right. So
The
garbage.
trash
So there was litter, and you're comparing that to billions of dollars of damages and dozens of murders following George Floyd's death.
Sure,
You think that's a reasonable comparison?
for sure, 100%.
Do you see why I'm pushing back on that?
No, I think my whole point is I'm really glad he's not on Earth anymore. And, you know, his kids are lucky that he's dead because he's a terrible father.
Do you consider yourself
Was.
on the left?
Sure.
Okay, sure. Okay, so which side do you think has more hate in it, the left or the right? The conservatives or the left?
I think it's equal.
You think it's equal?
Do you think the right celebrates the death of their political opposition equally?
Well, it hasn't happened yet.
What do you mean?
Well, if anything, they just ignore it. They don't care about it. The Democrat senator that got assassinated,
Everyone.
no half flag, no memorial funeral.
Yeah.
You know, nobody was. What?
How'd you find out about that? Did you know?
No, what?
What? Well, yeah. I guess what's her name?
I don't know her name.
You don't? No. What's the senator's name that you're talking
Oh,
about?
I forget. I think it's like Michelle.
You don't know. So are you just using her body as an argument instead of something you actually care about? Did you come out and mourn her death?
No.
No, you didn't.
No.
Do you mind if I ask you what your sign says?
Are you blind?
It's just a little bit chicken scratch.
Okay, well,
I'm not even being rude. I can't like.
I think.
Do you mind reading it?
Procrastinating, but.
What do you mean? What do you mean procrastinating? Procrastinating what?
Are you a Donald Trump fan?
Me?
Yeah.
Love T-Dog.
I don't, because he's a.
He's a racist? What's your evidence for that? What's your basis for saying that?
The Epstein files.
The Epstein files. Could you show me in the Epstein files where it says that, where he raped people?
Well, can he show the evidence?
Oh, so he has to show the evidence that he's a rapist to support your claim. Is that correct?
No, he has pictures with Jeffrey Epstein.
Wasn't the shooter a white supremacist in a white supremacist group?
Who are you talking about?
The guy who allegedly killed him. What's his name?
So
Tyler?
hold on.
Robinson? Yeah. You don't know the name?
You want to jump in here?
I know his name's Tyler.
It's hard to because her aggression is just not respected.
No, it's stick around. I'm gonna throw you in here. But when it comes to Tyler Robinson, his friends said he was left wing, far left. His family said he was far left. He was dating his roommate who was, or probably dating his roommate who was identifying as trans. So on his what? Did you hear what I said before that? The friends and family saying he was far left. Did you also did you read about what he put on the bullets?
Conservative.
Huh?
He was raised conservative.
Isn't that kind of just a testament to how radicalizing college campuses can be for people? Who cares if somebody was raised conservative if they turned out to be a radical leftist and that drove them to murder somebody because of their ideas?
I don't know.
You know, she only pays attention to the stuff that's
publicized, that's popular.
Well,
And
she
that's
seems
trendy.
misled on a bunch of the things, and it's making her celebrate the death of her political opposition.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying right there. She's being misled, and I think she needs to inform herself quite a bit more with what the situations are, who the people are, and then the background with that, if that makes sense. And that's all I have to say. And
It makes sense.
What do you think he made the biggest impact on?
On our young people.
Young people?
I think he's helping them to think again.
Yeah.
He revolutionized my teenagers, really helped them to start thinking through issues instead of just taking the word of the media, instead of taking the word of their educators, helped them to start researching and thinking about issues and the impact their decisions would make on their lives.
Right.
So
I mean, that story we've heard a bunch of times, and it's kind of incredible to see that impact on so many people.
I just wanted to come and pay my respects. I've been following Charlie Kirk for like 8 years.
Seriously, yeah.
And I know they said he was from Lamont, or had a garage in Lamont. I'm like, oh, that's right around the corner from me.
Is that pretty close to you?
Yeah, it's like 5 to 10 minutes from me. And so I'm like, wow, okay, yeah. So I came out to pay my respects to Charlie Kirk, man. It was a service, it was a political event, it was powerful, it was definitely life-changing, it was definitely inspirational. Yeah. And I mean, you just have to be here to be in an audience with about, I don't know, 60,000 people in here or more just singing praises and hymns this morning. It was just really powerful and emotional this morning.
For sure.
And just to see the impact he had on society, even me, just like, man, to re-engage to my biblical studies, to just really tighten up and get back out here in the political debate. And I mean, we have the truth on our side, so we need to just sharpen our tools and get out here, and we can change the culture. And I think we have to resist that urge to respond with violence, because then we lose the argument if we respond the way they respond. So we have to keep it peaceful, but like Charlie did, sharpen your intellectual tools, sharpen your arguments, watch some of his debates, and do your own studies, study history, read your Bible, pray, and sharpen what you have, because we have truth. Jesus said, I am the truth, I am the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. And so if we stand on that, I think we will win this argument easily, hand down. I don't think they can stand on the truth. They hate truth. And really right now, what I've seen over the last 10 days is a clear presentation of light versus darkness. When I saw people not only celebrating his assassination, marching in the streets, Charlie Kirk, and just some of the most heinous behaviors you could ever witness.
Horrifying.
That is horrifying. I mean, that's you don't get any lower than that. That's pretty low, and so I think our side really needs to surge forward now.
All right, guys, we're at the Turning Point HQ here in Arizona. We have a ton of people here showing their respects for Charlie and the Turning Point USA family. People dropping off flowers, flags, candles, letters from all over the country. I wanted to show you guys this just because, I mean, this is a really powerful scene. This is just one corner of the property. Photos of their vigils all around the country, paintings. Yeah, man, it's pretty powerful stuff. You can feel it, you know.
I think what the left wanted, it actually backfired, because there was people celebrating what had happened, and they thought, oh, good, they took down one of the greatest warriors of the right.
Yeah.
But the reaction has been so ginormous that I don't think they were expecting it. Right. And I think that it's inspired people to do the right thing. And just think, when I went to the memorial in Huntington Beach, and I told my buddy, I said, there's people here that have heard prayer for the first time, or the first time in a long time. And there's people now that are inspired to go to church and to actually look into what drove people like Charlie.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great thing. I really do.
None of this should be here. You shouldn't be here. I should be back in Detroit. It should be another Monday morning for the Turning Point team. And as sad as it is to me, to say this, I think that given the horrible thing that happened, I think this is the best of what could have come out of it. Right. I think Charlie would be proud of what's going on here.
Yeah. We were just talking to a guy, and he was talking about how it just totally backfired. There were people, students even saying publicly, right? You didn't have to look hard to find this. You had people saying, oh, well, I just hope that squashes what's happened, this movement. I hope that squashes this ideology. It's like basic conservatism, by the way. This is why so many people identify themselves with Charlie, because they agree wholeheartedly with so many of his positions. But they were hoping that it squashed it, and it did quite the opposite. In fact, probably, I think the country saw the greatest revival that we've seen in, a few decades at least.
He was very influential in my life. He was the reason why I pulled her out of the public school system and decided to homeschool her. He was the reason why I decided to fight back against the government when I did decide to pull her out. They were giving me a lot of problems.
Right. Encouraging you to use your voice.
Right. And instilling massive courage as well. So, yeah, he was just very influential. He sharpened my perspective on a lot of the things that he touched on. Got really into politics after listening to a lot of his videos.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's why we decided to go. We just felt really affected by what occurred, and we wouldn't have came out for any other person but him. So that's why we decided to come.
You said you are a teacher.
I'm a teacher. I'd rather not say exactly where, but it's in California.
Yeah. What do you teach?
I teach political science, so it's a college political science course in a 12th grade classroom for advanced students, so they can earn college credit while they're going to school. I am very adamant about being neutral in my classroom, so I don't share my own personal political views and presenting both sides. So if all my kids agree with one side, I'll just present the devil's advocate, you know, whether I agree with it personally or not.
You're a better person than me. If I was a political science teacher, I'd be like, hold on. Yeah, the losers think this way. No, I'm just kidding. But it sounds like you're a great teacher. That's good to hear.
I just think it's important for, even if you don't agree with the other side, it's important to understand the other side's perspective and be able to, as a teacher, you should be able to argue both sides, in my opinion.
Totally.
But I had a student, just in reference to the Kirk thing, I think that's what really kind of hit me, was several years ago, this was many years ago, before a lot of people really knew who he was. I honestly didn't even know who he was at that point. A student came to me and asked, can we start a Turning Point chapter on campus? And I said, you know, because I've always told my students, I will advise, because they have to have a teacher advisor, I will advise a conservative or a liberal or anything as long as it's, you know, there's nothing negative about it. And this is like a mea culpa. I didn't know who he was, so I said, well, let me look into it. And I said, I will Google it. And the narrative, as we know online, was very negative. And I did about 20, 30 minutes of research, and I got a lot of negative feedback, to be perfectly honest. And I told the student no. And he said, and I explained, I said, you know, a lot of what I've seen is, you know, showing that there's a lot of racist and this and that. And he's told me, he's like, but he's not. And I said, I can't support that, right?
How were you researching that, if you don't mind me asking? Were you looking at articles? Were you looking at Google?
Yeah, sorry, Googling articles, you know, the general. And I'll be honest, I did not do a deep dive, and that's a mea culpa. I should have, right? Like, as, you know, being a busy teacher, you get caught up in, you know. And I think this is what the average person does, right? They just kind of go in, kind of gloss over, get this big picture idea, and it often is not the accurate one, right? So then he just kind of said, but, you know, I'm not going to say my last name, but, you know, he's not. And I said, okay. I said, Miss Teacher. I said, he's not. And I said, okay. And so he just kind of let it go. Another student came back another year later and asked me, and this one did not let go. This student said, but you got to look at this. And I said, okay, so my thing is, I always say, bring me evidence, right? That's my thing. Bring me the evidence. He brought the evidence, right? He brought me tons of evidence, and we did a deep dive. And so I wish I could apologize to that first student, because I was wrong. I was very wrong. You know, I looked at the quotes, and then they've taken out of context quotes, the completely missed quotes. I mean, it was ridiculous what I saw.
And it sounds like you're incredibly good faith in that. You know, I think there's a lot of bad faith people that don't even try to do it. But it also makes it incredibly difficult when, you know, you have your search engines are against you as well.
Yeah.
They're feeding all the top results are things to shape a particular narrative about somebody, either an ideology or a specific person. And so, you know, you're using the tools that you have available.
Yep.
And those are misdirecting you as well, you know?
And I think very well-intentioned people go in there, and that's the narrative they get. And they're like, well, how can you tell me anything different? This is what I'm seeing. This is my reality. And so we end up with two realities in this world, right?
For sure.
And so I have this one, because we do media as part of the unit, and I have this one screenshot of the 2016 election. I just did a Google image search. Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton. Every single Donald Trump picture was like this mean-looking, like kind of evil. And then Hillary Clinton was always smiling. And so I actually told my students to stop using Google at that point.
By the millions, those tiny little things have a massive psychological impact.
And so once he brought the evidence, and we deep dived and we looked at it, and we said, and I was wrong. I was like, he's not racist. He's not homophobic. He has a heart for God. And I am a Christian. I said, he has a heart for God. And so we were about to start a Turning Point chapter, and COVID hit. So we never ended up getting that going. But
that student won that debate, huh?
He won it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've had students change my mind. That's not the first time. It certainly wasn't the last time. So I've had students change my mind. I've always, my response is bring me the evidence. And when they bring it, I'm willing to look at it. But, you know, the first one, I wish I could apologize. He's probably long off, you know, probably married, having kids now. But, like, I feel still terrible about that. And he was actually the one that introduced me to who Charlie Kirk was, those two students. So
And then here you are years later at Turning Point HQ to pay your respects.
Yeah. And just to look at it as regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, this is not okay. This is not okay. And, we talk about in the class, and the vast majority of my students agree with that. They agree that it's not okay. But at the same time, some of them are saying, I don't know what to do with the fact that I secretly feel almost happy when the Butler thing happened. And, and I said, well, we need to look into that. Where's that coming from? And why are we giving into that? So,
Well, tell me, as a political science teacher, tell me your perspective on this when it comes to the two very different reactions following the brutal assassination of Charlie Kirk. I know you're worried about your kids, and you should be, right, as a good teacher, but just in a general sense, your thoughts on those reactions as a country.
Yeah.
Can I get your take on that?
Yeah, I can say as far as in the classroom from the student's perspective, I'm on leave right now because I have actually made the decision to homeschool my daughter for the year. But I am still very involved with other teachers. And so I can give you some of the teacher reactions.
Yeah,
and
sure,
I have to say it has been very disheartening to see a lot of we have these little private teacher groups where most of the time we're talking about curriculum and lesson planning, but this last week there's been a lot of very negative response and teachers that are posting saying, I don't want to say what I really think because I'm afraid I'm going to get fired. So there's a lot of people getting fired. There is exponentially more that think that way that just won't say it out loud.
So we've touched on this, is there has been, I don't even know how many hundreds of thousands of people took it to social media using their public profile to say the most vile things, and not just say the most vile things, but celebrate and encourage more, which is obviously horrifying. Now, those are the people that I think most of us would agree are the idiots that are willing to do that. How many more are privately believing that? And that's one of the scariest things.
Yeah, that's this. Yeah. The amount of people who are really thinking of it, and I've been in education for 20 years. Yeah. Ginormous. And being even just a neutral teacher is the minority.
I can't remember who said it, and I might be butchering it, but they said something to the effect of, when you conflate silence with violence, or any words with violence, the logical conclusion to that is it makes sense why some people would then use violence to silence somebody's words. For sure. And I think the everyday American and America at large is starting to wake up to that we cannot continue down this path that the left has been pushing, that words are violence. At the end of the day, that's the heart of our self-governing republic here, that we got to talk, we got to hash out ideas, and I think Charlie would be proud that awakening is happening in the minds of the American people.
We found Bricksuit here. Bricksuit, what brought you out here today, man?
Well, after yesterday's memorial service, I wanted to come back here one more time before heading back home. Still an amazing amount of people here coming to pay tributes to Charlie. For sure. And I wanted to be here before I head back. But yesterday's service was just, I felt like really kind of closing that chapter of grief for me, and let's now move forward to redirecting our anger into resolve.
What are your thoughts about how many people showed up, man? I mean, this is the day after, right, and there's hundreds of people walking around Turning Point HQ, dropping stuff off, paying their respects. But even yesterday,
and
tens of thousands.
All last week there were people here as well. So it's like the total number of people who've been here probably exceeds the amount that we saw in the stadium yesterday. But the fact that you could fill a stadium and an adjacent arena as overflow, which they did yesterday, right, on 8 days' notice is just astounding. Such an incredible effort. So many people wanted to be there for all the right reasons. Personally, I was never so sad to see so many people that I care about under one roof at one time. It was definitely bittersweet.
We didn't like being there for the reasons that we were there.
No, exactly. But, I think there's a lot of, as you were saying, it's not just the spiritual aspect that's been awakened in people. The activism has been awakened. And I think on a secular level, people were very happy to see President Trump and Elon Musk sitting next to each other, shaking hands and talking.
Charlie's alive in spirit, there's no doubt. I'm hard of hearing right now, I wear hearing aids, so I'm deaf without them. I think Charlie gave a message to a lot of deaf people in this world that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior, and he spoke to millions of people.
All right, everyone, that is it for today. Thank you all for watching this video. Charlie was a major inspiration to me, as I'm sure he was to many of you guys watching. Charlie, God bless you, man. God bless your family. Thank you for all that you have done for all of us. Rest in peace, man.